Welcome to our monthly book club. And this month, our book has been The One Thing by Gary Keller. And really interesting book. And I have now listened to it 3 times, like a short version, a 30-minute version overview, and I'm reading the book as well. Um, and I want to test some of these ideas for myself. It's a challenge that I want to set for myself, is asking the question, the focus question, which we will talk about that. But some of the highlights in the book include talking about multitasking and how multitasking does not actually work. Our brain cannot focus on more than one thing at a time. And the example is, if you try to chase 2 rabbits, you will lose both of them. You will not catch either of the 2 rabbits because you can't do 2 things at once. Another topic that it covers is the domino theory, that it takes that success is linear, it happens in a progression, and that when we knock over a domino, it takes very little energy, but the energy from that domino falling onto the next domino and the next domino and the next, it creates a lot of energy, and it has a great result at the end, but it takes very little. The challenge is finding the right domino, because you can start the dominoes falling and they will not end up where you want it to. So you actually have to work backward from where you want to be and work backward to figure out what is your first domino to tip over. So another concept that the book talks about is called the Pareto principle, which is also known as the 80-20 theory, which is that 80% of our results come from 20% of our effort. And so the idea is, to be successful, focus your energy in the places that will yield the greatest results, which is not something that we always do. And so maybe cleaning is not always the thing that will get us the most success. It's maybe the 80% effort that will get us the 20% result. But the Pareto principle, it works in all kinds of ways. So, and then one other idea is that willpower, like the ability to force ourselves to do things, we cannot depend on that all the time. So a wise use of our willpower is to establish habits. We talked about that a couple of months ago around establishing good habits. And if we use our willpower to establish habits, then habits will start to take over, and then we don't have to use energy and willpower on those things. We just perform our habits. We just do what we do. So then we can use our habits to just create the discipline that we need to find success. So the book is really all about what it calls the focus question. And the focused question is, what's one thing that I can do? So it's very active. So it's focused, it's one thing, and it's active. What can I do right now, such that by doing it, and that makes it a lever, if I do that thing, I will get a result. And the result is everything else becomes easier or unnecessary. So either life is easy, or there are things that we just don't need to do anymore, and then we free up more time, we free up more energy. So that question, what's one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? So we can go from the big picture, what's my one thing? But to get there, we have to focus very small and ask the question, what's my one thing right now? So we can create a path of success by saying, what's my big thing 5 years from now? What's my big thing 1 year from now? what's my big thing 1 month from now, 1 week from now, 1 day from now, and like, what is my one thing right now? And we can create a ladder or a pathway to get to success from there. So there are several other things that the book talks about. It does talk about the 3 commitments. The first commitment is following the path of mastery, and that is always trying to get better and do better. Moving from, the second thing is moving from being entrepreneurial, and that's very startup, and it's very excited and energized and imaginative and creative, to purposeful. An example that they use in the book is if you have to cut down a tree and you are an entrepreneurial person, you may pick up an axe, like just pick up an axe and start working very hard and cutting down that tree. But if you're being purposeful, you'll use a better tool, a faster tool, be more thoughtful. You might pick up a saw because the saw is less energy and it will cut the tree more quickly with less energy. So thinking about how to block our time to work on the one thing is like using a saw instead of an axe. It's faster. It means that we are not using so much energy to get things done. We can use less energy and get a better result. And then the third of the 3 commitments is living the accountability cycle and looking at the reality, handling it, and not acting like a victim of the things that happen to us, but being accountable for the things that happen to us. So once we make all these commitments to using the one thing and establishing all these good habits, there are 4 thieves that want to steal these good results from us. So one of the thieves is the inability to say no, not being able to say no. And the idea is say no 1,000 times for every time you say yes once. That's really hard, I'll just say, for me personally. I'm good at 20 no's. I'm good at 20 no's. Not 1,000. The second of the 4 thieves is the fear of chaos. We were just talking about this in our rooms. If we focus on our one thing, the world around us may get messy. It may have clutter. It may have piles of things. That's okay if we're focused on our one thing. Let's see. So the third thief is having poor health habits. If we do not get enough sleep, we do not have energy. If we do not eat well, we need to meditate and spend time with our families and have good relationships. Like if we do not take care of our health, that will keep us from accomplishing our goals. And then the fourth thief is that if our environment does not support our goals, it will make it hard. So if our household, if our friends, if our job, these are things that will take away energy and focus from our one thing that we are trying to accomplish. So the conclusion of the book is, in order to go big and accomplish our one thing, we have to keep asking the focus question over and over and over. Post it in our room, put it on our, put it on a Post-it note, write it in places, just asking very over and over and starting small in the right place, knowing that we've got the right domino to go to the distance. So that's a synopsis of as an overview of the book.